Hey y'all, welcome to Black Motherhood Unplugged, Juggling Life, Working Kids. I'm your host, Jay Ashby, and this podcast is a heartfelt space for single mothers like you, mothers who have poured their hearts into their kids but may have lost a piece of themselves along the way. Here, we break the silence and share our stories, our struggles, and our victories. This is a community for those of us who may not have the support system we need, but who are still pushing through with tenacity and faith and grace. We're doing the work to create the lives we prayed for, both for ourselves and for our children. So join me as we dive into honest conversations about our ups and downs of single motherhood, exploring strategies for self-love, self-care, self-healing, and discover the power of reclaiming our identities. Because we've all lost it along the way because we put our children first before ourselves. We put many others before ourselves. So let's embark on this journey together, reminding ourselves that we are more than just mothers. We are our own assignments. So grab a cup of coffee, a cigar, or greenery. In my case, I'm having some wine, and get comfortable, and let's unplug from the chaos and connect with our true selves. Hey y'all, I want to apologize to you guys because I recorded an episode on July 18th, I believe, and it wasn't my best, so I actually scrapped it. So I believe about 4 of you got to listen to it before I deleted it, so sorry to those of you that did not, but it wasn't my best, and it's okay. I kind of just wanted to rush and put something out there because it's been quite some time. But nevertheless, I'm here today. Today is Sunday, July 20th. It's 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And I am a lot more organized today. I'm a lot more grounded because I was out of town last week for 4 days. I was in New York City, and it threw off my schedule, my sleeping patterns, and I found myself being out of whack. And I asked me, what do I need to do to get grounded? What do I need to be more connected with myself? Because I have a lot going on. I'm not paying attention to me. And what my spirit guide said, and I'll lead into that in a second, was disconnect from your phones, disconnect from social media this weekend. So I'm going to practice that habit of doing that more because I do feel more grounded, more within myself. Even when I'm watching TV, I'm not grabbing my phone to go on social media or to read a text message or to see who called me or what have you. I'm grounded in that space. I'm present in that space with myself, with what I'm watching before me, with cooking, with my kids, answering questions, just being more in tune with my environment. So anyway, as you guys know, I always pretty much read that same introduction before every episode on season 3. And I wanted to also share, you guys may be new to listening to me at this present moment because you may have searched up spirituality, motherhood, single motherhood, Black woman, all those kinds of things. And I came up on your algorithm. And for those of you that are new here, we're on season 3. This is ongoing. I don't know when I'm going to stop, to be quite honest with you, in regards to this season. I know how podcasts, you got to be consistent. You got to keep going, right? Anyway, what I'm trying to get at is the purpose of me starting this podcast is to help other women like myself. Other women who are mothers, who are parenting on their own, who are single, who are working mothers, who are married mothers but feel like they're single because it does happen. And for those that are trying to find their way back to them because you've lost yourself along the way. You've lost yourself on your journey of motherhood because in your mind, my kids are my priority. As long as they're good, I'm good. But to be quite honest, as long as you're good, they're good. That's the correct order. And I've had to learn that. And yeah, it took me this many years to get here. I've been a mother for 16 years. Thank God. And this year is the year where I feel like I'm more aware of the things that I'm doing and learning myself and who I am, the things that I like, the things that I don't like, and how I want to raise my children. So that's my purpose of starting this podcast. I don't want to get all winded and get off track, but that is the purpose of creating this podcast, is to help mothers like myself to figure out a way to connect with them, to love on them, to heal. My prayer for 2025 was this year is going to be different than my last year. Not to say that last year wasn't that great, but I want more. I want different for myself. And in order for me to attain that, I have to be different. I have to do things differently. I have to kill parts off of myself that no longer serve me. It's not so much the people in your life, it's you. And I'll get to that in a second. I'm making sure that I'm following my bullet points because, like I mentioned, I'm a lot more organized today. And guess what, y'all? I did not take my meds. Meds in regards to ADHD meds. I take stimulants. I'm not sharing which ones that I take because you guys got to figure that out on your own. I don't want to be an influence on what kind of meds I do take. But if you follow me on TikTok, you may have seen me make comments on other videos like that. And just so that I share that, my TikTok handle is JAY_Ashby, ASHB as in boy, Y, the number 14. So if you want to follow me, go ahead and follow me on TikTok. You can see a few of my pages. I'm not as frequent as I am. I'm not as frequent on TikTok in regards to posting as I am on my personal Instagram, because I share stories and the things that I do. I know I need to do that more, honestly. I just need to get back into that space too. But anyway, let me go ahead and start off with the reason why this episode is called Juggling, Spirituality and How It Started for Me. And I think it's very important that I share this episode because I've shared parts of it in previous episodes and previous seasons, but not as in depth and in dedicated as I am with where I am in my spiritual relationship with God right now, and what I've learned so far and what has helped me, and the things and the practices that I'm implementing in my life on a daily that are helping me. So, my personal journey with spirituality and how it started. It started at the age of 5. My grandma Enid taught me how to pray. I'll never forget this. It's like it happened yesterday. She had just finished bathing me and I was standing on top of the toilet cover and she was drying me off and she was teaching me how to say the Our Father, and I was saying it and I just felt so proud. I mean, when I was a little kid, I loved being hyped up like you're so good, you're whatever. So that stuck with me. That was the reason why I liked it. I liked the attention that I got from my grandmother by doing something good, something that she approved of, right? But that later on led to other things growing up in life with becoming a people pleaser. Again, I don't want to go off topic, but I'm just sharing that because if you're listening to this episode and you're still here, you're wanting to know more and this may resonate with you. So throughout the years, I grew up in a Catholic household, both sides. My mom's side, it was Catholic. My father's side is Catholic. And I followed a lot of the Catholic practices when I lived with my grandparents, my paternal grandparents. And I had a lot of Catholic guilt. I didn't like it. I hated it. I judged myself a lot. I was hard on myself a lot because of the Catholic guilt. And I would often ask myself, like, God, why is life so hard? You're supposed to be here for me. Why is this? Why is that? Fast forward to my early 20s, my grandmother had a pastor who I think for me changed my life in the way that I pray as well. She's this Panamanian woman. Her husband is also a pastor as well. I think we were introduced by them through a mutual friend, and through my family and I, we experienced some loss during that time. My grandparents lost their house, and before that, there was a lot of praying going on. And I don't want to go too in depth because this is also their story, but I'm sharing from my perspective. But in that, my grandmother used to do a lot of prayer meetings. We used to attend a lot of prayer meetings, and the pastor would have services in his home before he finally got a church. And I remember this one particular Sunday, he came to my grandmother's house to pray for us. But the only ones that were there were myself, my uncle, my grandmother, I believe my aunt, and someone else. It's not a lot of us, but it was only like a handful. And I remember the pastor giving me prophetic word, and he said, Jasmine, you're going to grow up to be a teacher. My 21-year-old, 22-year-old self at that time was like, I was thinking about going to college to be a teacher. He was like, not that kind of teacher. And I didn't fully understand until years later. But anyway, that always stuck with me. And then his wife, she's Panamanian, and of course I'm Hispanic as well, so I would talk to her in Spanish. And at the time, when my grandparents had lost their house, they were the only ones that took us in, and my relationship with her got stronger. I even dated her son at one point. That's another story for another day. It was quite interesting. But anyway, I remember her telling me one day during a prayer meeting that they had in their house, where she looks at me and she says, Jasmine, was it during, yeah, it was during the prayer meeting. She goes, this is not your religion. You have another walk when you get older, and I encourage you to pray in Spanish. And I did not fully understand what she meant then. And I was like, huh? What you mean? Like, I'm Catholic, I'm a Christian. This is how, this is what I'm supposed to do. But I was confused. I didn't know. But that's another thing about certain prophetic words. And I understand it now fully. As well, as you get older, you understand what is given to you or what that word is, and not taking it as, because I'm very specific, I'm very literal, so I'll take things literal. And when she told me that, I couldn't fathom what she meant. But as I got older and I started to have my family and lived on my own, and I experienced this spiritual attack when I was dating baby daddy number one, when we were living together, rather, not dating. We were living together. We were in a whole relationship, started a family, all that. And to my knowledge, an ex-girlfriend of his, don't know which one it was, but she did some negative witchcraft on me, which affected my household, which affected my relationship with him, or amplified it rather, because there were already issues there. And I remember dreaming about it. And I had a pastor friend who, let me break it down for you guys real quick, because as I'm looking at my bullet points, it's leading me to this story. So, as I've shared in the past, I lived in Houston off and on since I was 5 years old. And in my high school years, I went to high school out here. I didn't go to high school in New York. I went to high school in Houston. And I had this friend who I met, I believe, my freshman I know it was my sophomore year. And I'm in New York and I'm walking down 42nd Street. We're walking opposite ways and I ran into her and I couldn't believe it. I obviously don't believe in coincidence till this day. But I was like, oh my God, what are you doing here? And she says to me, I live here now. And how she lives in Brooklyn, and she literally lived like 15 minutes away from my mom's crib. And she told me that she was seeing her boyfriend at the time, who's also a pastor. And they had invited me to a church, and I developed a relationship with them too. I became pregnant with my oldest at the time. And I remember having the dream that I had and calling him or emailing him. And he told me, like, someone is doing these negative things and how I should pray, and gave me some scriptures to pray, this, and a third. But fast forward, I remember also telling my mom what was going on, and she sent me to Bay Ridge to go get a reading from her person that she normally goes to and get a cleansing. I was freaking out during that time. I was not into, readings or tarot cards or anything of this sort, because I didn't understand. You fear what you don't know, right? But I trusted my mom and I did it anyway. And I remember feeling better afterwards. But I also remember feeling a ton of clarity and realizing that if I continued in this relationship, I just got a revelation or a aha moment. If I continued in this relationship with my kid's father, my life will continue to be struggle. I will continue to struggle, especially my finances. My finances were attacked big time. I remember just absorbing this person's energy and just not being myself and kind of living a low vibrational life, to be quite honest. And I remember breaking it off. I didn't fully want to break it off. I had this thing of not letting go of people. I wanted to hold on to the best parts of them, but those best parts of them were affecting me in a negative way because they didn't belong in my life. Their purpose was just to create my children. So fast forward, where am I now? I am now living in my apartment on my own. I'm not living with family members. I'm not living in my mother's apartment with family members or living in my mother's apartment by myself. I'm on my own with my two boys at the time. And I moved to my apartment in Sugar Hill, Harlem. And I'm sorry, guys, if you guys hear any background noise. I told my kids that I was recording, but it sounds like my toddler is cranky right now. So I apologize if it does pick up some background noise. So anyway, I remember, let me make sure I'm staying on track. Yes, I am. So I remember, I remember a friend at the time, and this is the importance of when you're on your journey by yourself or when you're living alone. Like, you have to go through your own lessons on your own. You have to experience life on your own, because you don't have other people's energy aside from your kids intertwining with what you got going on, because sometimes that'll disrupt it, which is why I'm a huge believer in making sure that you don't overstay your welcome in certain spaces, or don't prolong a person's stay with you longer than the assigned time. And we all know this. Anyway, a friend of mine at the time, she sends me a message and she was like, hey, check this out. And it was a page on crystals. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna check it out one day, whatever. That stuck in the back of my mind. So now here I am in my own space, and I'm wanting to get deeper with myself, my own understanding of God and my relationship with God, and how I didn't like going to church. It just didn't resonate with my spirit anymore. I didn't feel like I was getting anything from it. Nothing against Christianity, Nothing against the Baptist church that I was attending in Harlem. Nothing against any of those things. I just wasn't feeling spiritually moved by it. Anyway, I'm walking down the street on 125th Street with one of my girlfriends, and I remember my head being tilted to the left. Like, someone took my head and pointed it to the left and made me see this table. And this table was this man, and he's actually still there to this day, because I was in New York City last week. I was in Harlem and I saw his table. Anyway, it was a table full of different crystals, and I just so happened to talk to my best friend about that my girlfriend at the time. One of my girls at the time, we were walking down Harlem, and I remember telling her about it, and then we come across it, and what was it? I had purchased the book on crystals, which is why I was like, oh shoot, let me go ahead and look and see. And I asked questions, and he recommended a crystal dictionary, and that is what started my spiritual journey with where I am today, because it led me down this rabbit hole of knowledge, because I was being guided, because I was finally ready at that time. And now it started to make sense what it was that my pastor was telling me at the time, on how, Christianity, Catholicism is not your religion. You are going to do something else. So anyway, I bought this book, and I would consider it kind of like, what is it called? Like Wiccan or whatever. Anyway, I bought this crystal book. I followed a couple of the spiritual practices in the book to cleanse your home. I was very male centered during that time as well. So I wanted love. I wanted opportunity. I wanted a new job. So I did the things that I needed to do to cleanse it, and I followed the stuff on the book. And some things actually did come from it. But again, it's also my belief in it, because I believed in it. I believed in the crystal. The amethyst was my first crystal, which provides protection and all those things. And if ever you're wearing a crystal and it breaks, it's because it broke off the negative energy that was coming towards you. All of these things. So after that whole crystal experience, I then started Googling. Don't even know how I got here. I started Googling spirituality, which led me to this YouTuber by the name of Sally Myers, and this other young lady who went back to Catholicism actually after she was doing what she was doing. But I also learned that, you have to be very careful with certain practices, because you can't just do what you read or do what you see on YouTube. You have to have a full understanding of it. You have to have a spiritual teacher to guide you, right? But my curiosity and just where I was being led me to where I am here. And I don't want to go too deep into that. Long story short, I remember the young lady that I was watching on YouTube. I can't remember her name. There's a reason why I can't remember her name. But anyway, I remember watching her video, and she would give the offerings, or she would kind of like elevate the gods that she was following. I believe one of them was a Legba, and another one was Oshun. And she had statues of it in her home, and she was praying to move and leave the apartment that she was in. And after she was doing what she was doing, her apartment flooded. and she went through a really hard time through that experience. That's why you have to be careful when you're working with energies. If you don't know what you don't know, you need to find someone that does know, so you don't dabble in things that you are uncertain of, because you don't know what that energy is going to do to you, right? Or how it's going to affect you, because you didn't do it in the correct way. You didn't follow the certain practices. Anyway, with S.Ali, he shared how to build an altar to honor your ancestors. And with him, even as I'm saying his name, I feel refreshed. Like, I don't feel resistance. With him, this man was knowledgeable. He even wrote a book on how to know who is the Orisha of you or your path. And he helps you find it by life path numbers. I'm into numbers too. Again, I also want to preface that, I'm sharing my journey, and if you're still here, you resonate with it, you're interested, you're intrigued, you want to learn more. If you turn this off, that's totally fine. I'm not about pushing my spirituality or my beliefs onto you. I believe in my voice is assigned to those that need to hear what I have to say. So that's why y'all still here. That's why y'all sharing. That's why you're subscribing. That's why you wait for my episodes when they post. So I do believe in that. So I'm not going to feel no kind of way if you're like, what is she talking about? Hey, I'm not for you, and that's okay. So anyway, I did the altar, I did the offerings, I would buy ancestor money. And then it led me down to sharing my understanding with a relative of mine who was in a religion. And she guided me in the years that she needed to guide me, that she was assigned to guide me. And I learned a lot from her. And her walk became different as well afterwards, but I still continued on. I'm just following my path and my walk. So where I am today, and this is what I absolutely love about when it's your time, it's your time. It's all about timing and when it makes sense to you, when we know that you're going to hear, because a person could tell you a message today and it may not resonate, but it will years later. For example, like I mentioned, the pastor telling me this is not your religion. I didn't understand what she meant then. If she had told me what I know now, then I would have been like, you're crazy. What are you talking about? Anyway, so yes, the timing. I was remembering the same friend that shared with me the crystals introduced me to this other friend back in 2015 who was a single mom at the time too. So I would speak to her. We would encourage each other. We had this like connection. I never could understand it. Anyway, I remember asking her like what was her religion, because she had said something and it had me intrigued. And that's when she shared with me that she follows the Yoruba practices. And I was like, oh, what's that? And that's when she shared me what it meant. And she also had a lekes on. And she had introduced me to her godmother that lived in Long Island. And I remember getting a reading from the godmother, and that's who told me how to set up my altar, how to honor my ancestors, specific things to get. I remember her saying, talking about my grandfather and how he came into play, and how, go to a park. Your grandfather was very like into, nature stuff. So find your rock that you feel your grandfather would pick up and put it on your altar, which I do. I still have it there till this day. And this was about almost 6-7 years ago. Anyway, I moved now back to Texas. This was back in, when did I meet her? 2019, I believe. So now in 2021 rather, excuse me. 2021. I'm back in Texas at the time, and I'm living in an apartment, and I'm speaking with the same friend who introduced me to her godmother in Long Island. And I was talking to her about cleansing or wanting to get a reading, and I don't know who to get a reading from, because I don't just trust everybody. Like, of course I didn't know, so I would just, anybody that I found on Instagram, I'll get a reading from. You can't just do that with just anybody. But anyway, she introduced me to this other woman who's a high priestess. She too lives in Long Island. And this woman changed my whole outlook on spirituality. She taught me some things. She's one of those teachers that she doesn't want to read you to get money. She gonna get money regardless. But she said it. I remember her telling me this when I met her back in 2021. I want to help you. I'm gonna teach you what you need to do. Make sure you write these notes. That way you don't got to come back to me. Other people want you to come back and spend the money, but she Definitely did, because the same practices that she shared with me from the very beginning 4 years ago are the same ones that I use to this day. I know how to cleanse myself. She always made it very important to make sure you honor your ancestors. You can't just go from, okay, I have an altar to now having an orisha. That's not how that works. You have to make sure you build a relationship with your ancestors, because they are the ones that come first. You are the one that breaks generational curses, and I believe that. I believe that I'm the one out of my family on my mom's side and my father's side to break generational curses, because I'm teaching my kids something different. You know what I'm saying? I even tell them, like, whatever religion that you choose is your choice, but I do believe that you just have to always have a relationship with God. Anyway, and if you're interested, if you want to get a reading by my godmother, let me know. You'll have to email me. Email me at blkmotherhood, the letter U, at gmail.com. That is BLK. Hold on, let me find my email so I'm reading it correctly, because I want to make sure. That is BLK, B as in boy, L as in Larry, K as in Kevin, M as in Mary, O as in orange, T as in Tom, H as in Harry, E as in Edward, R as in Robert, H as in Harry, double O as in orange, D as in dog, the letter U as in umbrella, at gmail.com. Email me, say, hey, your subject line should read reading from your godmother. Here is the prerequisite, I guess that's not the correct word, but here is what it is. Here is how you get a reading with her. You have to give me your full name. Again, I'm not forcing this on y'all. If you're interested, you're interested. If you're not, you're not. Totally fine. You have to give me your full name, because she does not read just anyone. You give me your full name. I let her know. I believe she does readings every Wednesdays and Thursdays. She does not do it often. She's not about that time. That's not her. That's not how she works. And she'll let me know if it's a yes or a no. So don't feel bad if it's a no. Your energy, or perhaps you're just not supposed to be guided by her or read by her, and that is okay. You'll find someone else, I would say. But yeah, that's how she does her readings, and her reading fee is separate from a cleansing fee. Depending on what comes up in that reading, you may need a cleansing. I will let you know. It's a bit pricey. Don't be like, hey, Jasmine, what you got going on? Why are you charging me all of this? Listen, if this is something that you want to do, I'm letting you know from up top. And she requires that you mail the payment to her home. No Zelle, no Cash App. Or you could Zelle me or Cash App me, and I can mail it to her. But I prefer you mailing it on your own, so you can never say Jasmine took my money, because that's not the type of time that I'm on, y'all. So again, yes, she does them every Wednesdays and Thursdays. She's a phenomenal teacher. She has taught me so much on my walk with spirituality, and what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it. And she would, and what I've noticed too, there's some things that she shared with me 2-3 years ago that I, again, didn't understand then. And I'm like, what's she talking about? They make a whole lot sense now. So that's pretty much that part. So how am I developing my relationship with God? When I wake up every morning, I say, thank you, God. Thank you, Mama, meaning my mom. And thank you to my spirit guides, because they are genuinely there with me. I recently learned this new prayer as well. This may or may not resonate with you, but I absolutely love it, because I came across this podcast when the timing was right and when I was supposed to see it, by the name of, oh my gosh, let me see if I can find it on YouTube real quick, you guys, because I don't want to give you the wrong name. But it's a spiritual podcast, and it's by the name of Iwa. But hold on one second, my computer's a little bit slow. So let's see, all the ones that I'm subscribing to, so I can tell you what the name of it is. It's called Iwa Lifestyle, IWA Lifestyle. And they talk about the Yoruba tradition, the Ifa tradition, and their practices and all those things. And there was this one interview, it was one of the first interviews that I've listened to. They're about an hour long, and I'm learning so much. It resonates. It makes a lot of sense. And the lady talks about how, you think you're going to get into this religion, and you're just going to go automatically to your Orisha. your head. You got to pray over yourself, your ancestors, but pray over yourself. First thing when you wake up in the morning, you say this: my Ori is powerful. You hold your head while you're saying this, by the way. My Ori is powerful. My Ori is good. My Ori will lead me well. I started to say that prayer when I was ready to say that prayer. I know I have an understanding of where my path is going to now, and I believe in God, and God is guiding me, and that's just me going with flow, not forcing anything. And I kid you not, since I started saying that prayer, I'm a lot more firm in my decisions. I'm a lot more firm within decisions within myself and what it is that I need to do for the betterment of myself and my life and the walk that I am taking. And here's a personal story. So I was recently dating someone that I've dated off and on for many, many years. I absolutely love this person, will always love this person. But two things could be true at once. You could love someone and also have the understanding that you're just not meant to be. And I also believe that this person was in my life for an absolute lesson, as I am for this individual as well. Nevertheless, once I started to say that prayer, and also most importantly going to therapy the beginning of this year, I started to have a better stronghold at the respect that I have for myself and the things that I desire and decisions that I need to make, aside from going against me. And what I mean by that is, and I've encouraged my little cousin about this as well. I told her, I said, listen, just a quick little synopsis on that. She was going through something. She was wanting to do this for herself because this is the path that makes sense, but she also doesn't want to disappoint others. And I told her, let me tell you something. One, never feel like you have to explain yourself. Two, if you go against you, you're not going to feel right within your body. Your body will tell you, and you know this. It is okay to say no. You don't have to explain yourself. You are an adult, and that is how I feel. So while my flesh wanted me to be with this individual, there were things that this individual wanted me to do, to say, to change me in a way that does not resonate with who I am, and I wasn't rocking with it. And before, I wouldn't say anything in relationships, regardless, friendship, family, whatever, for the sake of not losing that relationship, because I didn't want to. I felt the need to have that. So I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself. No, be true to you. Be real with you. Be honest with yourself. If you feel that this decision or whatever it is that this person is saying is going against you, then that's not a healthy relationship. If it doesn't resonate with you, it's not a healthy relationship. It's not good. Don't do it. You don't have to do it. You just don't. So anyway, like I said, ever since I started just praying and grounding, I ground myself daily, especially during a work week. I go outside first thing in the morning barefoot, and I stand on the grass and I thank God. I thank the universe. I thank my mom. I think my ancestors that mean me well, that I don't know by name, that are working on my behalf for myself and for my children on the other side, that are helping me to break generational curses. I say that prayer. I look up at the sky and I thank God. I thank God for the sun. I thank God for the air. I thank God for the warmth. I thank God for the opportunity to be living in Texas, because life was so hard for me in New York. I was in survival mode all of the time in New York. I am here in Texas for a reason. My mom brought us here off and on since I was 5 years old. I never understood why, but now I understand. I'm also into astrology. When you look at astrology too, where your planets are aligned, you could choose the locations in the state and it'll tell you if it's fruitful for you or not. And when I clicked on Texas, Texas is that for me. This may not resonate with you, and that's fine, but it resonates with me. This is my walk. This is my spiritual walk. I may be sharing something with you that you had no knowledge of before. Also, too, I make sure that I set 5 minutes aside in the morning to meditate. And if I don't, I make sure that I do it within the midday. I have to meditate because it helps me to stay grounded. It helps me to keep my anxiety at bay. It helps me to be more controlled with my emotions and my awareness, especially when I'm being spiritually attacked, especially when I'm dealing with energies that are going against me, because we don't notice. We walking around energies all the time. We are energy. We are spiritual beings, y'all. So these practices are very important. I also cleanse myself often. That was one of the many things, one of the number one things that my godmother taught me 4 years ago, was to always make sure that you cleanse yourself off. Jasmine, you are an empath. You pick up on other people's energies. You feel that because you work remote, you're not going to pick up on people's energy. Yeah, the fuck you are. That's how she talks too. She's very like straight. She's very raw. So don't feel no kind of way if you do decide to work with her and you're like, damn, you talking to her because you could take it. You good. But yeah, she really truly taught me that, and I have a list of all the cleanses. I even cleanse my kids too. That's another important thing. When you cleanse yourself, make sure you cleanse everyone else in the household. There are different cleanses though. For me and the older kids, I do the herbs. For the little kids, I do white baths. I'm not going to share those ingredients because, again, if you want to get a reading from my godmother, she'll tell you what's assigned to you. I could also share you as well, but that's going to be at a cost because no one's work is for free. If I had to go through hell and high water to get to this point, invest in myself, you have to invest in yourself too. Ain't nothing in this world for free, y'all. And I'm going to be real with y'all, okay? Having my relationship with God influences my decision making. Why? Because with my decision making, with me being in tune with myself, I tap in. I ask myself, am I feeling resistance or am I feeling flow? Yesterday, for example, as I mentioned, I was talking to someone that I've been dating with. Excuse me, y'all. I've been dating off and on for many years. And this is truly the end of it. And that's okay. And I've accepted it, right? And I know it's because I'm healing areas of myself, traumas, childhood traumas, abandonment issues, all these things, people pleasing, setting boundaries. Oh my God, setting boundaries is a huge, huge thing for me now. And it just made me look at this relationship differently, with clearer eyes. The bull's no longer there. And I had this sense of codependency on this person because it was familiar. Right. And also, too, I wanted to be with this person because this person was finally choosing me, even though I've been trying to tell this person for many years that I was that person for the longest. But hey, it's OK. And this is a huge thing about healing. It's embracing and leaning into the understanding of what's true, what's actually true. And that is OK. And in a healthy way, because, of course, I wasn't happy about it when it happened, but I had to be real with myself and say to myself, you know what? Taking a step back and looking at what's happening before me, especially with work and other areas of my life and, people and so on and so forth. What is the lesson here? The lesson is that I'm teaching myself to have healthy boundaries. The lesson is that I'm no longer looking for that codependency because I codepend on myself. Healing, going to therapy, building a stronger relationship with God is helping me to tap in with me because I need me. Anything outside of myself is extra. You get what I'm saying? So all of what I've learned in these past 4 years, in this past 2 years, in the practices that I'm implementing for myself, my children are implementing as well. They ask me certain questions. I don't force anything onto them. They're emotionally aware. I'm not saying that I'm perfect. I have my moments. I'm very hard. I'm very stern, but life is that way. You know what I'm saying? So these practices is what I hold on to daily. It keeps me sane. My relationship with God keeps me sane because in the years when my father was not there, God filled that void, and he still does to this day. And also, I didn't share this with you guys, but since going to therapy, and I've been seeing my therapist for 7 months, we talked about this just last week. She's like, oh my gosh, Jasmine, 7 months? I'm talking to my dad. I have a relationship with my dad now because I'm leaning into unconditional love. I have self-respect for myself. And if he says something that in the past may trigger me, it won't trigger me today because I can't take it to heart because I know who this person is. I am loving this individual with unconditional love, but I also do have self-respect. So rather than me crashing out, because I'm a habitual crash outer or a former crash out. I mean, I'll crash out when I need to crash out, but I would crash out on my dad or I'll go ghost and I just won't talk about it. But I've also told myself that if I want a healthy relationship with anyone, I'm going to talk about those uncomfortable things. I'm going to have that uncomfortable conversation, because that leads to healthy relationships. So with my dad, not saying that it's been perfect, but we talk about things, or he will respond and I'll be like, hey dad, let me just, just take it easy. Listen, you could take my advice, you can't take my advice, but I'm just going to be the voice of reason here. How about approach this way? You know what I'm saying? Or, hey dad, no, that's not what my intention was, or whatever the case may be. I'm not people pleasing. I'm looking at it from a different lens, because my dad has gone through some things. He's still going through some things. And I approach my relationship with him with grace, because he's not perfect, but he did show up and he did seek me out this time. And I told him flat out, I wasn't looking for you. I did all those other times. I got to choose me first. You know what I'm saying? So I'm very action based. I want people to show me what they mean, and I'll do the same thing on my end, if that makes any sense. So you guys, let me bring this to a landing. I'm going to share with you guys the key points, things that I do again that help me with my relationship with God. And like I said, I start my day off by saying, thank you, God. Thank you to my mom. Thank you to my spirit guides. I hold my head and I say that prayer. I meditate. I pray in my prayer room often, at least 3 to 4 times a week. And if I don't go in my prayer room, I pray at my desk or in my car. I have conversations with God. I have conversations with my mom. I have conversations with my muerto, aka my spirit guide. And I wait for answers. And the answer is normally always within. You will know for sure. And sometimes you know these things already. You just second guess yourself. Don't second guess yourself. Trust yourself. Trust you. Build that relationship with you. Cultivate that healthy relationship with you in God, and you'll see how life will transform. Also, practice some grounding. Take a few minutes, walk on the grass barefoot. You get energetically charged with the healthy roots of the earth. When you go out there, you actually get healed. You get cleansed too. Negative energy, negative thoughts, doubt gets removed from your body. Practice those healthy habits daily. Make sure that also too, when you're seeking an answer in that present moment, you're seeking guidance rather, and you don't know what decision to make, pray on it. God, what should I do with this? Or how should I go about this? You may not get an answer right away, or you may get an answer right away. Sometimes God will provide you signs in the ways that He knows that you'll interpret as this is a sign, or you could sleep on it. I used to write prayers or questions that I would ask God or my ancestors on a paper and put it under my pillow, and the next morning I would have that answer. But yeah, these are the practices that I handle. And also too, every now and again, I'll pull oracle cards for myself, not as often. I've also learned that tarot cards are not really more about knowing the future, it's about getting guidance. And as soon as I had that understanding because I used to go to my prayer room, pull oracle cards and be like, yo, what do I need to know? Nah, it's not that. It's guidance. Here's what you should be doing, and look out for this and be prepared for this. But I would get readings from my godmother, not as often, like I mentioned, when I feel spiritually led or when I feel I need to. But because she's provided me with tools in the past on how to cleanse myself as often, I know when to cleanse myself. I know when to go on a fast. I went on a 7-day Daniel fast. When was this? The end of June. And I also did a cleansing for 7 days straight. And I would pray and I would ask for healing and protection and abundance and prosperity and all these things. And then shortly after is when I ended my relationship with, not even a relationship, when I just ended that connection with that individual that I had for many years. And I finally got the clarity that I needed and the answer that I needed to something that I actually already knew deep down inside. I was just ignoring it because I wanted it for so long. And I thought this person was my person, but that just did not happen to be the case. And that's okay. I embrace it. I know that there's someone else out there who's actually been shared with me. But I was trying to change the timeline and we can't. Some things are already written, y'all. So just go with that. But again, if you have any questions, if you want to get a session or reading from my godmother, let me know. I'm also creating a 30-day ebook for you all as well. That's in the works. It's very important. This is something that I've done on my own, for myself, throughout the years with different mentors and just my understanding on how I visualize and manifest things, and just to call in that energy that we so powerfully have within. So nevertheless, y'all, again, whenever you guys feel like you're feeling disconnected with you, unplug from the phones, unplug from social media, maybe journal, maybe read a book, watch a romantic book, watch a comedy. Lately, and this is so random, but lately I've been rewatching the Flash series that used to come on the CW. I love it, and I'm watching it like it's the first time, and it's because of it's a nostalgia that helps me. Actually, it kind of just, there's so many other shows out there too. I just recently started watching The Gilded Age that one of my best friends shared with me. So I'm just kind of like doing things that I want to do it myself. I'm also going to have a date next week, Saturday. And I'm going to the cigar lounge because y'all know I love a cigar. I don't know if I shared that with y'all before, but I love a cigar, y'all. And I'm just working on some personal projects that I'm going to be sharing with y'all because y'all been rocking with me. And I know that some of y'all need this as I've needed it throughout the years. And I know that this will bless you. So I encourage y'all to continuously share the episodes when y'all listen to it. Follow and subscribe. Let your friend know, and let your friend know, and let your friend know. And share the podcast, share the wealth, y'all. But I thank y'all for rock with me. I thank y'all for listening. I thank y'all for having patience with me, like I mentioned. I just have so much going on, and that's something that I'm working on with myself. It's strict time blocking. So again, if you were thinking about going to therapy, this is your sign to go. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. And until the next episode, peace.